Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. And I'm so happy to have the one and only Seth Sias with us, joining us. This is something that we've been talking about for 3-4 months,
For a
and
little while.
yeah, for a little while. And it's one of those things where the Tell Me More podcast is all about connecting with real estate agents and real estate professionals and learning their journey as to how they got into real estate and get to know them a little bit more. So I've had the privilege of knowing Seth for just over a year and a handful of months now, and I've been able to watch his journey from a brand new agent to where he is currently. And Seth, I'm so pumped to have you on, brother.
I'm so excited to be here, man.
Thanks for joining us. And um, you know, I've like I said, I had the privilege of knowing you since day one, of almost day one of you being in the business, and really been able to coach you and watch you take the first year of real estate, head on. Um, I'm always curious when I talk to real estate agents. We all come from different paths and journeys, and as you talk to real estate agents, I'm a big believer in, if I can share stories, if we can share stories, there's going to be someone out there that can possibly resonate with your story, right? And if they can just take one thing away from you and apply it to themselves or apply it to their business, that's the value that we're looking for. So what I wanted to where I want to start with you, Seth, is growing up. Give me the real, the raw, the truth. What was Seth like? Growing up. Were you into sports? Were you always an entrepreneur? Was real estate something that was in your family? Kind of give me a little rundown.
Yeah, man. It's hard to even think about where to start with growing up. I feel like I've lived a million lifetimes already, and I've done all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I was into sports, very, very heavily into sports. And I played football. I wrestled. I absolutely that was everything to me when I was growing up. Played running back and linebacker, and I mean there was just nothing like it, for me. And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and brag, but I was pretty good at what I did. So I am proud and take a lot of pride in that. And hopefully, it's a gene that passes down to my boys. So, growing up for me, it was kind of unique. I mean, I wouldn't say unique as in no one else has experienced it, but just the two household lifestyle. My mom and my dad. I grew up in two different communities, and live in one place half the week and the other half. Fortunately for me, I had two amazing parents that were just outstanding in how they raised me and what they taught me. I didn't always listen, and when you asked me what I was like growing up, I was thinking I was wild. Is probably the best way to describe it. Man, just crazy. But most of the time, it was just big ambitions and stuff that drove me to do the things that I did, and I liked living that rock star lifestyle, I guess. And definitely always an entrepreneur in one way or another as well. You know, I will say, out of all of my wild takes and things that I've done, I had a good heart behind it, even if it didn't seem like it in some of those things. But I always cared about people, cared about others, and wanted to see others do well. Um, Obviously, when we're younger, there's a lot of growing up that has to happen before we can, be the best versions of ourselves. But um, yeah, I grew up in mostly in Grove City, Ohio, where I'm currently living now. My dad lived out in the Circleville area, so it gave me a very unique perspective and insight into both of those communities. And then through wrestling, actually, I've wrestled at Bishop Reedy, I've wrestled at Tays Valley, I've wrestled all over the place, and that gave me a lot of connections. And same with football. It really puts your name out there in the community before you're even an adult. So I meet people to this day that, like, I remember watching you wrestle, or I remember watching you play football, or or whatever it may be. So that was really cool. I honestly, like, I did well in school because I could take tests good. Homework was not something I did, or like you couldn't get me to do it. I just hated it. I couldn't stand homework, and I had a ninth grade teacher, and he's an awesome guy. I actually still talk to him to this day, but he recognized that. He recognized that like my brain worked differently. I was intelligent, but couldn't I just couldn't do I couldn't focus. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
I do. But yeah. He was so cool, man. He said, "Look, I know you're gonna get an A on all these tests. I'll make it deal with you. Like you don't have to do any homework in my class. You have to read a book quarterly and tell me all about that book. And as long as you maintain an A on every single test, then I'll never make you do homework." And I thought that was so cool. Like that's
And
everybody learns different.
I was gonna say, do you remember his name?
Oh, absolutely, Isaac Barnes.
Give give him a shout out, because
Yeah.
that's the thing. Most. I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole if we want, but
Oh, I had so many shout outs I could give, but I will give since I brought it up. Isaac Barnes, and if you're looking for the best honey this side of the Mississippi, look for Honey Run Farms. So there's a little plug for Mr. Barnes' honey company.
but that's so awesome, right? Because he recognized that you just learn differently, and with me coaching real estate agents, to bring it to real estate, right? Like everyone's different. There's so many different ways for people to find success in our business, and there's so many different ways for kids growing up to learn differently, right? Like
Absolutely.
it doesn't have to just be this one way, and the fact that he recognized that and put you down the path of success, right? Because
Yeah.
you would not have been down the path of success if he made you follow the standard quo of here's how it normally goes.
Right. And that right there, like that's why I wanted to give that shout out. Is that, like being able to recognize that that's a huge thing. That's something that you do well in your coaching. But for me, like I said, I got good grades for the most part. There was a couple years I struggled, and that was mostly because of my behavior, to be honest. And I did have some behavioral issues. Most of the time, it was fairly harmless. Just always the funny guy, you know what I mean? And I couldn't stop. I just once I got an idea in my head, man, I was doing it, and it did. It got me in a lot of trouble. But like I said, most of it was harmless, and the same thing, the administration and stuff that I always did well with. Shout out to Jackson Middle School in Grove City. They treated me really well because same thing. They were able to see past the goofiness and behavior and all that stuff. And so I'm thankful for that. I won't name the other school that I attended, but they didn't have the same ability as what they had at over here in Grove City. So
But
that meant
it's
a
one.
lot to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and part of the reason why I always like to go back to the younger years, right? Like growing up, because that has a huge impact on how we are as adults, right? And the free spirit, right? Like, yes, you got in trouble. Yes, you're probably wild. People that are around us, well, they'll hear me say, like, Seth's probably the most interesting person that I know. He's the most interesting man, right? Those
I
that
love
gays,
him too.
right? but but no, but like you having that more free spirit, right? And just going out and doing whatever you want to do, like it's translated into your business for sure, right? You're not
Yeah.
necessarily afraid of failing,
Right.
or getting the slap on the wrist, right, for trying something different,
Right.
right? But like it's true, because like for me, like I grew up more conservative, right? It was a little bit more strict,
Yeah.
and I didn't take a lot of risks and a lot of gambles, and things along those lines. And I just think that has a direct impact on your career. you know
Absolutely. You're 100% right. And that's cool. And I like learning about your background as well. Like I can draw the connections and the parallels and stuff. And John now and probably John back then. So I can definitely say the same for me. Yeah, definitely a risk taker. And um, you know, discipline didn't really scare me.
yeah.
I would, unless it was my father. That was the discipline that I was afraid of right there.
Yeah, for sure. We all were, right? We
Yeah,
all were. But
yeah,
so we get up to, you're doing sports, right? And really, we're in the Columbus, Ohio market. But really and I'm not from here, but my understanding from even like Grove City being a suburb, of Columbus, a city that's attached to Columbus, it still seems like Grove City's one of those cities that is still tight knit,
oh yeah,
and we'll get to the part of you getting into business and being a little bit more strategic, but it's cool that you were able to still have some of that tight knit community feel, even going back and forth between the two different spots, and now translating into your real estate
It's
business.
amazing, man. I really feel accepted by both of these communities, and it's huge. I love both cities, and when I say both cities, I'm talking about Grove City and Circleville. I like
Yeah,
just so much because there's so many people that are in these communities that have shaped me into who I am and have helped me a lot in the past. And I have that loyalty gene, man, where like I tell people I would never leave Ohio because I love this state. Everyone else wants to leave, but it's just true.
yeah,
um, there's just so much I could say about both cities and what they've done for me.
yeah, for sure. So through high school, right? Graduate high school. Did you end up going to college? Give me your post high school. Your next couple steps in your career, and kind of what that path looked like.
Sure. So I I I started working when I was really, really, really young. My whole family did. I have 9 siblings, and
Oh
especially
wow.
on the, yeah, right. And other people say you've got this many halves and all that, and I'm the only one from my mom and my dad, but they're all full siblings to me, and we all, that's how we've always viewed it. So we all worked all the time. And my dad was someone that, he always had that entrepreneurial spirit and stuff. And so that, like, me and him bonded on that level where, that was something he said, people will never understand us or the way that we think. And,
Yep.
it's that I'd rather go work my ass off for myself than go work, even if it's half the time, for someone else.
Yeah.
And that's my, the mantra for my life, I feel like. And so going back on topic, yeah, I went to college for a little bit. I graduated from Grove City in 2013. I had one pretty crappy year grade wise in high school, but I was still able to graduate with like a 3.4 or something, so it was nothing. And I did not want to go to college at all. And to this day, I won't say I regret it. I regret the money and the loans that I took out, but I
Yeah.
did learn some and I made some connections. But my mom, she works for OSU in the medical field, and my mom's a saint, by the way. But my my mom, so she said, "You're going to college. You get half off at Ohio State. So you don't even get to pick. Like you're going to school." And I was like, "Oh crap!" So I was a little bit late for main campus at OSU by the time that she got me convinced and taking the ACT or whatever. And I did well on that, and I ended up going to OSU Newark for a year. Um, Honestly,
That was
that was at one of my wilder times in my life. I was running a business back home. I was packing a 2-day college schedule, but a full-time schedule, just 2 days a week, driving up to Newark, um, and living in Circleville. So it was a hell of a time. And honestly, I was not doing the best stuff up there. So as I was getting more stressed, and I was like, man, like, why am I going to college? Like, I know what I want to
yeah.
do, and it's not have a job anywhere. It's to work my butt off for myself. And
Yeah.
at that time, I had a concession business that had been passed down to me from my father. And so, and it was a successful business. I remember my friends, always telling me, like, man, how do you walk around with like money like that and stuff? So,
It's
um,
funny because we just talked about this.
yeah,
Last, I didn't realize that it was a family. I just figured you were working,
yeah.
and
Well,
that was
that's
just
when
kind
I
of a
started
job.
working.
So
When I was like 11 years old, I started working in that business. And I mean, we worked hard too, man. Like, we were working our butts off. And yeah, by the time I was 18, I took on like the more active ownership role. And my dad was still a partner of mine, but you know, he got the big boss part now because he earned it. So
yeah,
yeah, so I was working hard doing that stuff and trying to go to college at the same time. It got to a point where I was like really stressed out, and at that time, honestly, my mindset wasn't, I wasn't on the same wavelength I am now. If I could have,
right.
gone back there, I probably would be a millionaire doing concessions because I would have put systems, processes, and people in place. But I was working in the business, and I was working like a dog in the business. So,
Yeah,
what I mean? We were
yeah,
just working hard, man, and there is no scaling if you're just going to do it like that. So After a while, I took a break from school, continued the concessions. Then we made the decision to sell the business. After that was sold, I tried to go back to Columbus State for a year. I did a lot more hanging out and stuff, and whatever than I did learning. But I am kind of thankful for some of the classes I took, and I was strategic in the classes I picked. I didn't pick anything stupid. I went and learned marketing, financing, accounting, stuff that I knew I would use as a business owner later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And to
Well,
this,
and you
you know,
yeah, well, you probably already had a lot of that experience doing the
yeah,
concession stand business, right? So it's like,
absolutely.
like you were ahead of a lot of people that get into our business, because you did have some of that uh, business ownership background.
Right. Right. That's it right there. Like I had the microeconomics thing down on that scale,
Yeah.
like I understand producing services, products, or whatever it is. I understand the revenue concepts and all that stuff, and making marketing decisions based off of a higher return. Like all that stuff was already there for me. I
Right.
was definitely disorganized. I was, I don't want to say a mess because I was having fun, but I wasn't a mature adult yet. That's for sure. And, you know, if I saved the money that I made back then and knew what I knew now about investing, even if I was investing in stocks back then like I did now, like
Yeah.
I'd be doing all right. But instead, I was partying,
Yeah.
And that is one. I don't have regrets, and I don't necessarily regret that, but I wouldn't mind having some of that money back in my pocket. you
Hey,
know?
but it's a learning, experience, right? Like that's where, when I got in the business, the foreclosures were still going on and short sales and things like that. And, I didn't have any money. I was 22 when I got into real estate when all that was
Right.
going on, but I wish I would have known more or leaned into more private money, right?
Yeah.
Going out but I didn't know real estate, right? So like, is it a missed opportunity? Sure, but now next time around, right? And
Exactly.
and we'll get to that, I'm sure, in your story, right? Of
Oh yeah,
now,
absolutely.
right? What you're
We're
doing
we're still
now,
ways
but
away, aren't we? But
but that's the thing, like you've learned, right?
yeah,
And now you're able to apply some of that stuff.
absolutely, man. And another thing I was doing, like I had the concession business, but and this is something that, maybe even some of my close friends like you guys in our clubhouse group might not know about me, but I was really into horses because that was my family background on my dad's side. I'm an avid hunter and outdoorsman and stuff, and we
Yep.
like dogs and all that. But we used to ride horses all the time, man. Like my hobby in high school and stuff was trail riding, drinking some beers, and hanging out. And everybody wanted to hang out with us and come ride and stay in tents and hang out and stuff. But um, eventually, I became a horse farrier, which is someone that like a blacksmith that puts shoes on horses.
Okay.
So I can still do that. That's a craft you don't unlearn. It's a very skilled trade. So, I started as an apprentice for a gentleman that I still go and visit today. His name's Donnie Payne. And
Awesome.
Donnie's been a horse farrier like, I don't know, for like 80 years or something crazy. But Donnie's a good guy. He helped me as a young man, a very young man. I was still in high school when I started doing that. I think I was 17. That's when I first started, and then I stayed doing that well into my mid 20s. But yeah, that was another huge income source for me. Was after training with Donnie and helping Donnie on all his routes, he kind of helped me get started, and I started doing it on my own. So, I was marketing, running another business, all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
it was funny because even back then, I would say to myself, I was like, I'm a business person first and a horse farrier second. Because
Yeah.
like that's a grueling job. Like I mean, I still have scars all over my hands, and back then I was in super shape. You wouldn't want to mess with it, but now I got a little bigger belly, but my back feels better. I'll tell you that because when you spend that much time holding a horse up, man, your back starts to hurt, and it was just very physical. But um, my point with that is that was just another huge business in my life for me as a young adult, and horses were really good to me. It made me a lot of money back then. And when I say a lot of money, it's nothing compared to what we
Sure.
talk about now. But as a really not a kid, but you're 20 years old and
Yeah.
you have your own stuff going on, man. Like it almost felt like I was unstoppable, and so it was just really cool. I started breaking and training horses after a while because I was at so many different barns that needed a
Yeah.
rider, needed help, and At my dad's house, we had a barn. My sisters had always been breaking and training horses with dad. And just when I was younger, I was so involved in sports, I didn't get to really be as much part of that except for the fun stuff like the trail riding.
Yep.
So when I got older, obviously I'm not playing sports anymore and stuff. That's when I started really learning from them, how to be successful at breaking a horse. And so that was cool, man. Like people paid me to take their horses, and all I did was ride all the time and hang out like I like to do. So it's just the same concept of now, finding something you enjoy doing and getting paid to do it. It never felt like
100%.
work. People were handing me
100%.
$600 like up front every month, and as a young man, that 600 went really, really far. Especially when you got 3 or 4 horses at once. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And it sounds like, we're both lucky now because we know, this is what we want to do, right? And it sounds like you've always been able to do that, right? With the different
yeah,
jobs, like you've always enjoyed, doing what you were doing at the time.
absolutely. And that freedom, man, that the thing we talk about all the time, and what I said, like my dad really instilled with me, is that freedom of being able to do, whatever I want when I want. And that's a huge driver for me. Like I enjoyed sitting down with a piece of paper and writing down projections for my business, writing down ideas. And if I went back and read some of them now, I'd be like, "You're so dumb." You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. I would have helped me out, but like, it's just so funny because even on an elementary basis of running a
Yeah.
business, then like just the most simple formulas and stuff, dude, I just loved it, and I still do. I really,
Hmm.
really enjoy that side of anything. You could put me running any business, and I'll look at those numbers and I'll enjoy it, unless
Yeah.
it's a bad or harmful business that I don't
Yeah.
believe in.
Yeah. So you did the horse breaking and all of that, and I mean, you didn't always do your own thing, right?
No,
I mean,
so
I know you did a couple. I don't know how long were you at Best Buy for?
that's a great segue
Yeah.
because I after we sold the concession business, or I think I might even had it still for a while I worked there, but a good transition into what happened, because I'll tell you, you know briefly before I got into having my actual own businesses, like I saw what it was like when my dad was running his businesses, so I understood, I understood the salesperson part, all that. But as a kid, there's not much you can do. So I worked fast food jobs and stuff, and
Right.
you know, I always tried my best to be the best because that's my personality and attitude. I always want to be the best. But if somebody ever rubbed me the wrong way, it happened to me, like I said, I'll be brief on these ones. But when I was 17, I worked at White Castle. And one time there was like the supervisor or something, and he was like, "I want you to take apart this stainless steel and scrub it." I was like, "Why?" I'm like, "I'm up here working. Why don't you do it?" He said, "Because I don't want to." I said, "Okay." So I didn't do it, and I never went back to work. And the same week, I paid to rent a lot across the street from them, and I set up my concession equipment there. And I sold food at this abandoned gas station that I set up across. So when my general manager called me, and she was very sweet, she never was like that, but she called
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and she said, "Hey, are you coming into work?" I said, "I don't think so, Paula. I'm not coming in today." And she said, "Well, why not?" I said, "Because I'm chasing the American dream."
Right across from your store.
Right across from your store. Yeah. So, that's just how I was. And then I had the same thing happen at Steak and Shake. And I actually, to the manager, I was just talking to him the other day. He's a great guy, but we were all growing up and stuff. And
Yeah.
kind of the same situation. Everyone else had the day off because we graduated the next day, and I didn't. I probably didn't prepare well to get that day off, but they had me working until like 2 a.m. or something. And I was like, "Hey, man, we got lots of people here. I'm not really asking to leave now, but if I could leave by 11, I'd really appreciate it." And he like laughed and said no. So I was like, "All right." I went, said bye to all my friends, and then I just took my apron and tossed it, and I said, "I'll see you later." And I've never put in a 2 weeks notice in my life. But segueing into my Best Buy career, um, that was when I decided, when I think I was 18, I decided I'm not working for anybody else, and
Yeah.
that lasted until I was about to turn 21. So I had a good 3-year run of not working for anybody else, except maybe some farm jobs here and there, which were really cool. I might circle back to that later, but yeah. So I started working at Best Buy part time. My brother had started working there before me, and he was successful at it, and so you know from being an entrepreneur and all that, I ended up with a car that had a really high car payment. And yeah, if you can guess what kind of car it was, it was a Dodge Charger. And I thought it was so cool, but my business was seasonal, even with the horses. Like once you hit wintertime, not very many people are calling you to come out there and trim their horses' hooves. So
Right.
um, they should though. Tip: every 6 weeks, your horses should have their hooves trimmed. But um, so I started working at Best Buy with my brother, and we just both have that natural sales ability, and so we were both doing good. When I was first there, I'll be honest, like I kind of had an attitude, so I didn't like working for someone else,
Well,
and
it was probably a hard adjustment, you
it
know.
was. I had people that, and back then, I didn't have, like I said, once again, I have the same mindset. But back then, I measured it in like, I made more money than the people that were telling me what to do, and they were talking down to me.
Yeah.
And I just hated it. It,
Yeah.
it made me mad. So my personality is to resist and fight back. And that's how it was. But like, even through that, my talent still shone through. And, it was just like impossible not to be a good salesperson for me. And um, so I just had a lot of fun when I was doing it, and I had a lot of fun at their expense, honestly. But I got to a point where my brother and I won they call it the Achievers Award, and my brother has won that every year he's been there. I mean,
Oh wow.
he's superb. And so we both went to
Where
Orlando, Florida.
where do you guys think you got that gift from?
Oh
Just
my
being
God,
just growing up in it and
dude!
being
So
around it, or
being around it. So like when we were growing up, my dad it was called wheeling and dealing, because he had horses, dogs, guns, trailers, cars, everything. And I would sit there and I'd watch my dad have an ad on Craigslist to sell something, and that was it. It was just buying stuff. We'd use it, and then when we didn't have a use for it anymore, he was selling it. And I mean, it was natural for my dad, and it came natural for us. And wheeling and
yeah.
dealing. Like, I'll never forget that. I still say it now. Like I'm wheeling and dealing. And I remember one time he took me to it's like the Lucasville flea market, and I was 16 years old. And I had, obviously when you're there, like your guns are banded, they're unloaded and everything. But I was hustling a 9mm, and I remember like I was doing so well talking to people when they try to go down and stuff. Like my dad was listening, and he told me, he said, "Man, I'm really proud of you, and I'm proud of the way that you handle yourself like a man." And like that right there, I was like, I got a thing for this,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, just being around my dad, man, he was such a natural salesperson. So
That's awesome.
fortunately, yeah, it came to us, man. But like I said, we went down to Florida for that trip, and I met someone who is still a mentor in my life now, and still a good friend. Shout out to Matt Fetterman in Hawaii. But he ran a different Best Buy store in Columbus, and it's funny that we met him in Florida instead of Ohio. But um, everybody wanted my brother to work for him. Everybody wanted my brother at their store because he was really good. And
Yeah.
basically, we got an offer. I didn't get the offer; my brother did down there. And we both went up for an interview for a different spot to go to that store. And credit to my brother, and just the same loyalty that he had, that we all have as a family. Um, Basically, they said, "Look, your brother talking about me to my brother. So your brother's a
Yeah.
wild card. Like he's good, but he's crazy. Basically, is what they said." And they're like, "I don't know if we can take a chance on him." And he said, "If we don't hire your brother, will you still come here?" And my brother said, "No, it's us or nothing. I'm a package deal."
Wow.
And yeah, he got me in the door there in a full-time position. And I never let them down, like that, because at that point now I had a leader in Matt who took a chance on us, who not only helped me develop as an employee, but helped me develop as a man and a human being. I could talk to him about anything, and I could be in
Do you
any situation and go to him for help.
do you think
And
it was maturity or the fact that he took the gamble on you, that you
it
then
was a gamble.
respected him, and you then respected him enough to stay to start to stay focused, right?
It was the gamble, man. It was that,
Yeah.
and that's the loyalty piece. Like
Right.
anybody that does right to me will always get my 100% and more in return. And that's helped me get where I am today. But he, he took that chance, and he was always good to me. He always helped me, and you know, it doesn't mean he always told me what I wanted to hear, but it was just it was another good mentor in my life. And
Yeah.
so, anyways. me and my brother just kept moving up and moving up. And then, we ended up working in a bunch of different stores and stuff and different leadership roles. And my claim to fame, like my knack at Best Buy, I was a home theater guy, but I just absolutely I had a name known across the company about my home theater and Magnolia sales skills. And it's because I was passionate about that stuff, man. Like I love music and I like hearing it through amazing speakers. And, I would learn everything I could to give me knowledge to be the best salesperson and to teach my employees to be the best salespeople. And it was all about computers to me were boring. Stuff like that is boring because there's not really an experience or a picture that you're painting,
Sure.
whereas and you need that stuff. If you got a business or you got a job or you're going to school, you need a computer. So someone comes in there like, which one do I need? For home theater, you don't need that. You don't do that at all. So sitting there and telling somebody why they need an 86-inch TV with surround sound speakers all in the wall and stuff like that. Dude, I had sales over like 20 grand. Like all I want, just balling, man. And that was fun. It gave me that that confidence and that swag and some structure in my sales.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for Best Buy because they really did help me develop my raw talent into the stone cold sales skills, man. And
Yeah.
understanding the stuff I told you guys on one of our calls before, I use a lot of the stuff that I did there in real estate. And
Yeah.
just having that structured, the biggest thing that I learned is, for one, and this is something I had before, was always putting your client first, and it's about their experience. That's something, but I didn't have a word for it back then. It was just, for me, it was, you trust me to do a job for you, I'm going to make sure you get a great experience. But what they call it is a world-class experience. And so I try to bring a world-class experience even today. And
Yeah.
a lot of that comes back to, for any tips for anybody out there, is just understanding the client. Not everybody is a one size fits all. Actually, nobody is. So when you are in, I will say I'm an empath, or whatever you say. I have an extreme ability to empathize with someone, just to put myself into their mind and their heart, and to feel what they feel. And that helped me significantly also. But taking the time to understand somebody and their needs, I get to know people better than they know what they need. And that's it right there. That's something that is helpful. But anyways, after working at a bunch of stores, and both of us having great success there and everything, I ended up getting promoted to the sales manager position at a smaller store, which I had never been in a small store. I had always been in the really large box,
Yeah. Yeah.
Columbus stores. So I was busy, and I like, me, I like that, just turning it out,
Right.
nonstop.
The hustle. The
Yeah,
hustle.
hustle, fast paced. It was
Yeah.
weird going to a
The wheel,
store where
the wheeling and dealing.
the wheeling and dealing, man. It was weird going to a store where sometimes there's only 100 people walk through or something like that. I'm like, what the hell is this? But, um, anyway, I really liked being a leader. And that's something I've always been in sports and all, as a leader. I truly enjoy that same fulfillment you get out of coaching and helping other people. I get
Yeah.
that as, out of leadership. And this role was something I had dreamed of. I remember getting the call that my that was accepted, after my interview. I remember I was with my then girlfriend, who was now my wife, and our kids. We were getting ready to go to the zoo, and we're still renting a house and everything, and paying way too much for rent, and living the really the I don't want to say the fake American dream, because that is a good thing for a lot of people.
Sure. Sure.
It wasn't my dream, I guess, and I thought it was for a while. I fell into a trap. I fell into that, moving from, I'm never going to work from someone again, moving into, now I have a career, and I have a structured everything, and you know what I mean. It was like caging a wild animal, and I
It,
fell for it for a little bit.
did the outside factors, kids, all that, fall into those decisions, and or was it, hey, I'm older now and I need to start growing up, and this is corporate world is the way to go.
So, I didn't have any kids when I first started at Best Buy, so it wasn't them that made me do it. It was once I found someone that took a chance on me, and I wanted to do well for them, and I enjoyed seeing myself get promoted all the time. It
Yeah.
was like a high.
Yeah.
And it's easy to fall into that, man, because you know promotions are great, but if I look back now, I should have been building my business, doing something. But like I said, I'm thankful for everything I had there. and everything I learned and the people that I met, it's even more important. Shout out Paul Durbin. He's also a good mentor of mine from Best Buy, that I still talk to this day, man. And just, like they're all just great people that helped me. But yeah, it was. Then I had my first kid, Kingston, when I was working at Best Buy. And at that time I was a supervisor. I was only making like 20, I don't know, like $20 an hour or something. And we had bonuses that made it like more than that. And
Right.
it sure still looked good to me then. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, for sure.
so, but then at that point, that's when I was like, I need to level up because I need to get to this next position. I need to be making more than that. And
Right.
so that's what eventually like got me pushing towards that sales manager role. And I wasn't a supervisor long before I got promoted to that sales manager role. And so, yeah, I'm once again thankful for the opportunity there. But there's what I'll say about retail is there's a ton of politics, just like anywhere. And I don't like that. I don't like any of that stuff. I think people, not everyone has the mindset like you and I, and people truly get off on having a title that's over you, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of toxicity, and really that's it. Like I was spoiled at first because I had great people to work with and work for, you know what I mean? That made it
Yeah.
a fun, nurturing, and amazing environment. But
Yeah. I mean,
that all left.
yeah, well, it's one of those things where, I tell people I got lucky, right? Like I got lucky when I got into this business. You got lucky in the fact that you got to learn from your dad, right? And the initial scale, sales and entrepreneurship and all of that. And then, you got lucky at Best Buy because you went to the right situations and the right people were in place,
Absolutely.
and that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, some people don't have that. And I think you and I both have that. It's our obligation, our duty to give back because
Yeah,
of our situations. And we've been fortunate, in the very beginnings of our careers to have those right mentors in place to guide us. And the fact that you still have them, right, and you're still talking to them, even though you no longer work there is a testament to them as well.
absolutely, man. It is, and that's the thing. They could be doing anything to be good at it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's the same thought that you and I have. It's loyalty and giving back to the people that helped you become who you are.
Right.
And but I didn't have that when I went to my last and final store. It was very toxic. It was not. It's just not cool. And
Yeah.
it what made it all worse. And this is a me thing. It's just that I lived an hour away, so I was driving an hour each way. I was working my balls off. Excuse my language, but I was just working like a dog. And in that salary position, doesn't matter how hard I worked. Like, yeah, we had bonuses, of course, and that's
Didn't matter how
always
many
something
hours
that's
you
worth
worked either.
yeah, man. And at this point, I've got two kids now, and I'm just like, I never see my family. And like the only thing I did when I got home, because it was so late, I would drink beer or whatever, and then I would just go to sleep, wake up, and do it all again. And it
Yeah.
just seemed like it was like never ending. And honestly, like, and I'm a very positive person, but when I'm an emotional person, yeah, I really am. I show myself a lot. I can't hide it, and I don't care to hide it. But I started, really getting that feeling, especially when I didn't get along with my boss, and then we switched to another GM, and I didn't get along with her, and it was starting to take a toll on me because that's where I spent all my time. And if I
Yeah.
hated where I was at, I mean, they have me so damn depressed. I can't even explain. And my dad saw it, my wife saw it, my girlfriend then, but like they all saw it. And man, I would break down sometimes and I would just
Yeah.
cry. I'd be like, I can't stand this. Like, what do I have to do to get out of this? And really, this is what the birth of where I'm at now is
Yeah.
that pressure and pain. That's what pushes people to become something either better or to fold. And
Yeah.
I
So
just yeah.
so so why real estate, right? Like,
So yeah, I got you.
you feel the pressure of just working your ass off. Yeah, you're seeing some rewards from it, but is the rewards that you're getting worth what you're putting in and
They
everything
weren't
else you're experiencing? So now you come to a pivotal point, of making a decision. And I'm always curious why people choose to get into real estate.
yeah, I 100%. I can tell you to a T what it was. I started Googling ways to get out of your job or ways to not have to work every second of your life. I did not know what passive income was yet. I didn't know. I knew how to work and make more money. I had
Yeah.
recently started investing in stocks, but I never tied that to passive incomes yet. But that was my first form of investing. Was I started putting money in the stock market. And of course, I had a 401k and all that or whatever. But
Right.
man, when I googled that, I just all like it said, like real estate. And I was like, okay, tell me more. So I started reading about it. And then I found the Bigger Pockets podcast, and then I started listening to it every single day. 1 hour there, one
I was
hour
gonna
back.
say, you
Dude,
had a long ass drive.
yeah, I had 2 hours a day just to learn it. And then on my days off, when I was watching the kids, because Aubrey, my wife, was still working at that time too. She was working
Right.
at a nursing home, busting her butt. And I would have to watch the kids, which that is hard for me to do. But when I was watching the kids, I turned on YouTube and I would learn about real estate investing. I mean, I spent every second I had of free time learning how to get out of my situation and how to do better. So, as I'm preparing and planning, I start like hearing more like because that's an investing platform really. And
Right.
that's what I was learning about. But then I started hearing more about people that are agents also. And so I was like, man, that sounds pretty cool. What if I could do this all day, every day? And
Yeah.
that was me because I was learning. I was loving what I was learning. It was like it was addicting. Like I used to read a lot when I was younger, but I hadn't read in a while. I feel like stuck in that daily grind of a job for years took away all of my creativity and all of my drive and my desire for more knowledge. And it really did. So I remember sitting down nights late at night, and I'm like, think about a business, put a business on this paper right now. And I couldn't do it anymore. And it was burning me out. And now that I've got my creative juices flowing again, man, I was like, I'm doing this. So, it was like wintertime through the holidays, obviously a very high pressure time for retail. Um, just it was miserable for me. I couldn't stand it. Tensions were at an all time high. Man, I literally couldn't do it anymore. And something my dad said to me, he said, dude, you can you can quit that job. You can find any job you want tomorrow. Like, don't worry about that. Don't because I was so worried that I had kids and
Yeah.
bills and all these payments and stuff. And I was like, well, how do I get out of it? Like I can't take that risk. And just hearing my dad say, he said, I don't care, how bad things get. Don't ever get up and don't ever be sad about it. And that hit me so hard. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's it's I think a lot of people just get caught into that rat race, and they don't think there's an exit strategy. And it's funny you bring that up because I was listening to a podcast on my way up to I think it was on my way up to my mom's or on my way back from my mom's for Christmas, and 3 hours in the car, and Anna's normally sleeping, so it's just me and hanging out by myself. But Ryan Stewman was talking about when everyone got laid off or got shut down for COVID, everyone went after and did their side hustles, right, to make
yeah,
ends meet, and they were selling bracelets, and they were selling clothes, and they were selling t-shirts, and they were just wheeling and dealing to
yeah,
make money because they didn't have any other options. And he was talking about how now that companies want them to come back to work, well, they already learned how to go out and make the money that they were making at their job. So
doing it
uh,
themselves. That's
they're
right.
they're they're not they're not motivated to go back and clock in and clock out.
No, then
And
that's right.
yeah,
You
so
know, and
making that switch for you, right, of hey, you can go and do any job, and you're learning real estate. I always want to know, because even you, right, coming from a salaried spot, going straight 1099 into real estate, like, did you have any doubters, or did you mostly have supporters? I'm always curious about that, because
yeah,
like me growing up, more conservative, work 9 to 5, get paid every 2 weeks, yada yada yada. My grandpa was an entrepreneur, but for the most part, our family was always that corporate job, nine to
yep.
five, get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Did you have a lot of doubters? I'm assuming you had mostly supporters,
I
but
did have mostly supporters. I had mostly
yeah,
supporters, and I did have doubters. And my mom was not a doubter, but my mom is always worried about my
cautious.
endeavors. And yeah, my mom is that same thing that you say, where you get a great job. She has an amazing job. She's
Right.
really good at it. But that's the way that works for her.
Yeah.
This doesn't work for me. And she was obviously concerned a little bit, but she didn't do anything to stop me, or she didn't tell me I wouldn't be successful at it. She just wanted me to be careful.
Right.
Of course, I had doubters at my old job, and I tried to hide it from them as long as I could. and basically what got me the time to do the classes was having Bo, my second child. I got 30 days paid off to have a baby, which is cool. That's the second time I got to do it. So
Yeah.
um, during those 30 days, I said, I'm buying my courses and I'm knocking it out. So I busted my butt, dude. That whole time I would wake up and it's COVID time. So everybody shut down too. So dude, we all were just like stuck in this house. And at the time it was me, my brother, and my girlfriend and my son that all lived together in this. It was a big house. It was cool.
Yeah.
Um, Even at that time when I was renting, when I started learning about real estate, I was asking my landlord questions, and I was, asking him about stuff and trying to learn whatever it is that he does and learn about his background. And it helped that I knew him. I used to work on his daughter's horses, and I went to school with his daughter. She was a friend of mine, so it's like easy to talk to him about stuff.
Right.
But yeah, so I took the classes in those 30 days, and then by then I come back to work. COVID's got the testing shut down, so I wanted to leave so bad. I'm trying to get my test scheduled, and I just couldn't for months and months and months, man. It was like it sucked because I could have been licensed probably in April of 2020, but whatever. So blessing in disguise, because we're looking for our first property, and obviously it's a lot easier to get a house with a W-2 job than if
Yeah.
you have no job and just start real estate. So well, basically, I just sucked it up and went through the miserable last few months of my career there. And like I said, it was great before, man, but I mean, I'm not even gonna spare any words. Like, it was miserable at that
Yeah.
last tour, and I've heard from it's probably still miserable, and I'm not gonna name names, but my gosh, like, it's just a tough time, and it's tough on a lot of people, but it made me better. So everyone always used to ask me, like, do you hate this person, or like, wouldn't you want to see this happen? I'm like, no, you know what? I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that person, because
Yeah.
that person put me in a corner, and I came out swinging, and now
Mm.
I'm winning. You know what I mean? So I will never, I forgive that person. I don't think that person's changed or ever is going to, but I forgive them, and I'm thankful that I met them. God puts you in places for a reason.
Yeah.
God put me in that position to show me that I'm destined to be more. So fast forward a few months, I'm able to get my testing scheduled. I'm looking at houses, and I was back and forth between buying like a primary residence, and then this house hacking thing was so interesting to me. I wanted to house hack. So I had that talk with Aubrey, and I was like, look, I think it would be really awesome if we could do this house hacking thing. Let me explain it to you and show you the benefits. And I'm a salesperson, so I'm selling her on the idea of this. And I had considered doing the room by room rent and finding a nice house for us, and she said, F no. That's not happening. We've had roommates with us for years. I'm tired of it. We've got kids. I like, if we're doing it, we're buying a duplex or
Right.
something, So like, all right, cool. And it took a long time. I mean, months of looking before I finally found a place that worked, and it just happened to be back in Old Circleville, Ohio. So I found this place or whatever, and we were able to secure it. Been on the market for a while. Um, and then the craziest stuff happened. This is when it gets insane, right? So there was an incident at work involving some of my employees or whatever, and this is still at Best Buy. And so I'm trying to handle the situation the way that my boss was telling me to handle the situation. And then a week later, I'm in the HR's office, and I'm thinking I'm going to be telling them about this, and they turn the tables around on me. I'm like, this is literally a nightmare. Like, this, like, where I'm like, I can prove to you I didn't do what you're saying I did. Like, I can 1000% prove it, but yet we're still sitting here and you're accusing me of something I didn't do. I don't do well when I'm like that, so I lost my temper a little bit, and I went off, and I'm like, I won't even say what I said or did, but they were like, all right, you're suspended with pay for now while we do. I was like, they were like, well, don't worry, you'll be back. I said, I'm not gonna be back. I know that. I know what you're doing. I'm not stupid. So like, I'm gonna get my stuff, and I'm never gonna see you guys again. And I, all right,
And he's
whatever,
gonna and he's gonna go sling some CDs and DVDs out of the trunk of his car in the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot, they don't even sell that stuff anymore. But yeah, but so I'm pissed,
Yeah.
and I remember the anxiety and that feeling like, wow, I always wanted to be the one to leave that job. I wanted
Yeah.
to look at them and say bye, like I did in all my other ones. But This, because I was still on the fence. I didn't know if I could or if I just needed to move stores or what. So it
Yeah.
was like really the kick I needed, and I'm glad it happened this way.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, it gave you that little boost, and the the time with paid time, right? I'm sure that helped as well.
oh my God, yeah. So, during that time, I went and took my classes, passed my test first time, and I'm ready to rock and roll. And then, they call me into a different store, and I'm like, they're about to fire me. I already know it. So the only thing that sucks, I'm closing on the house in 2 days, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, obviously everything worked out good, so I think I can say whatever I want now. But at the time, I'm like, well, don't do that. You know what I mean? Can you give me 2 more days? And no, they weren't gracious enough to do that, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life. So,
that's crazy.
yeah. So no, after everything I did for them, that's it right there. So I said, okay, whatever. Still worked out. Still bought the house. And then
Yeah,
this is when my life changed, and that's what got me where I am today. So,
yeah.
yeah,
So let's dive into that event pushes you, right? You now know that's the way you're going. Dive into that first year, because you've just been licensed what, a little over a year and a half or so.
yeah.
um I'm always curious, getting started, any struggles, instant success, like kind of go through that first year or so of being in the business real quick.
Yeah, man. So, after closing on my first property, getting my real estate license, and losing my job all the same week, obviously things were a little hectic and crazy. But it was an exciting time because back to the supporter, my wife believed in me so much. My wife was so helpful, and it just like it gave me the power to go on. She said, "Look, whatever you do, you're going to be successful at it.
Yeah.
Just do it." So we started prepping the other unit for rent. Got some tenants in there. That took a lot of pressure off because I knew I had my mortgage and then some. I worked at Key Bank like 1 or 2 days a week just to make sure I had something. In the meantime,
Right.
I was there like 4 or 5 weeks, so it wasn't like anything major, but
Yeah. Right.
just whatever I had to do. And
Well, I know. I remember we had that conversation, right? Like, is it to move, not to move?
it wasn't
You
the
know.
move. I tried to quit all the time. My wife was like, she was like, no, dude, I didn't do anything there. I
Right.
literally sat there and I got to work on my lead generation for my real estate business because it was like a temporary COVID position.
Yeah.
And, like, and nobody there knew that I came from like a high level of like corporate sales and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no
Yeah.
one, so they just thought I was like some dude, like, yeah, like, so I'm like, whatever. But yeah, so when I first started, I had instant success for a second, and then I had some pretty rough times. So as you know, I got my first client from an open house. Thank you, Mike, allowing me to do your open house. And one thing I'll say is, like, as a newer agent, you got to be a workhorse and you got to be willing to do things that others aren't. Successful individuals and other people will see that, and you'll get more opportunity that way. So you just have to be a workhorse. And if you're not, and you don't want to go out there and get yourself those opportunities, then you won't get the result after. So I got my first client. Jermaine, my team lead, gave me a lead of his, and so I had two right off the get go, and I was like, "This is awesome." Closed like almost $500,000 in real estate my first month, and I'm like, "Oh, this is so cool." And then, as you know, John, from being my coach, I I didn't have a closing for months,
Yeah.
and it started getting like, luckily, I had got into like stock investing before because I had money, saved up. Not a lot. It wasn't, everyone says save a year or whatever. I didn't have that, but I wheeled and dealed and I made it through it. And something that resonated with me during those times was like having your leadership, Jermaine's leadership, and everything. Just saying, like, dude, you're doing the right stuff, but it takes time. Don't stop because you don't see the result yet.
Yeah.
The consistency is key, and that's one thing I was consistent. So, after being consistent and doing everything I see, like literally anything I could do to get business, all of a sudden I had 6 closings in February. And then it was like, oh my gosh, I had so much money come in. I was like, this is so cool. And then I started getting that taste of that, man. And that's really what catapulted my business. And I stayed consistent, stayed lead generating. I helped find my pillars that you talk about. I found what I enjoy doing, and it makes it a lot easier being consistent when you enjoy what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I just honestly, like, I tell people, all I do is live my life, and I base my job around it. And I end up working with people that I love because they're like minded. And
Right.
it's amazing, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And just to put it in perspective, I think you got licensed what in September,
of
and
2020.
then yep, and then you had your two deals, so those probably closed by October,
October.
November,
Yep.
and then you went November, December, January of no deals. But during that time, right, you were actually working, you were
Working
actually
hard.
out showings, right?
Yeah.
It was they just all lined up closing wise for February. And I remember we had a conversation because you're like, well, shit, they're all in contract. Now what?
Yeah.
And you're because there's nothing else, right? Like your pipeline was depleted because you had worked and prospected and lead generated, and you were out doing the grind, with the
Right.
showings and all that other stuff. And and I told you, I said, hey, what did you do 30, 60, 90 days ago?
That right
Go
there.
go back and do it again, right?
Yeah.
Go back and look at what you did and just repeat it. And the hard part is in real estate, it's not the instant gratification. You truly have to fall in love with the
You
process.
have to.
And that's where what you just said was when you enjoy doing it your way and the way that you enjoy doing it, then you can be consistent, and then you can love the process.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
I texted, in the back channels of our Instagram chat, like, hey, hitting the phones for the first time in like over
Yeah.
a year,
I love it.
and I was like, it felt good because that's how I built my business, right? It was like
Right.
on the phones, internet lead prospecting. And so, you know, so you get the 6 in contract, right? February, probably one of the best months you've probably ever had,
Yeah.
right? Not just in real estate, but maybe financially, right? I don't know.
Oh,
So
I
what?
mean,
So what did the rest of the year and stuff look like for you?
so, yeah, after that, and I saw when you finally get that result, it is like you said, delayed gratification. When you finally get that result, you're hooked, and that's it. Most people quit before they ever get that result. So they just don't ever go anywhere with it. But,
Right.
once you do see it, then it's like, well, I know exactly how to get business now. I just do what I just did. And
Yeah.
so that's what I did. And I implemented a couple other things. I had really what I think is a great year for a first year agent. And I started like I said, like hitting my stride and started partnering more in the community, which is something that I enjoy. Like you heard me talk about in my background, like I love the cities that I'm from, and I love the
Yeah.
people in them. So it was like natural just to become one with it, and to get business like that. So,
Yep.
doing that, and then just already having a big sphere of people that know me or are friends with me and stuff was very helpful. But I just always stay consistent, man. And so the rest of the year, it's just a lot more closings. I learned a lot. Definitely, it wasn't like it all of a sudden went to autopilot and was easy by any means,
Right.
but
Right.
like it definitely that was the breaking point right there when put me over the other side. And there's nothing that I can't handle that anybody can't handle if you put your mind to it, you think about it. And now that I really could see that, for sure, because I believed it and I kept doing it, but now it's just like unstoppable, man. So,
Yeah.
but then I didn't want to stop being an investor either. So I've always been looking for that part of it and trying to do my best there. Um, After fulfilling our obligation to live in our duplex for 1 year because we used an FHA loan, I considered buying another house, but I knew like self-employed, no other, but now Aubrey was able to raise our kids and do a great job and be a stay-at-home mom,
Yep.
which is the hardest job in the world by far. But so I wasn't lendable exactly, but
Right.
I ended up seeing a house that I just had to have, man. And I already knew that if there's a will, there's a way, and I can do anything. So, like I found a way, and through having great partnerships and great relationships and networks with people, I was able to have somebody that took a chance on me once again, and that will see a reward and a result for that. And I was able to get us a new place. That's our current primary we live in. During this time, for 2021, so 2021 was my first full calendar year. I closed just under 7 million in volume, which I think is a great number. I don't
It's
know, it's
awesome.
my first
It's
calendar
awesome.
year, but it sure felt amazing, and I'm thankful to have had all the clients and stuff that I've had that helped me get there. And I think about those clients the same way that I think about a business partner or anybody else that takes a chance on me. You will get a reward for that. I will make sure that you get the best experience and achieve your goals and your dreams, and you get everything coming to you for taking that chance on me. So that's just a consistent theme in my business. But we were able to find this house here, and I was able to move back to my hometown of Grove City, which I just love it. We bought a house and a vacant lot next to it that we're going to build on, and it's going to be another investment. So just like that. Now I went from the duplex to this, and just a little bit about living in that duplex. It was very small, and we didn't renovate it to what it is until after we left.
Sure.
So we
Sure.
renovated the front side first and had someone in there. Then when we lived in this place, it wasn't bad by any means, but man, 4 people in this tiny house, it was difficult. But I knew that after doing that for a certain amount of time, it would pay off. So I put myself in a position to live like most people won't, so that I
Yep.
can live like they can't later.
Yep.
And we're seeing it now, man. So I was able to get into this place, like I said, through a partnership and a great person that was willing to take a chance on me and work with me on it. And then just kept turning and turning on the real estate side, selling, buying, and everything else, man. And as you know, I just bought another property down in Circleville. So if you
Yeah.
count our vacant lot, we're up to 4. And
Yeah.
that's just 1 year, man. 1 year.
4 in
And
1 year.
1 year of getting creative as hell to make it happen, because I haven't been lendable yet, So
And it's
I'm
not
really excited to see what happens when it's easier.
and it's not being look, it literally goes back to your youth. You're
Yeah,
not afraid to ask and fail, right? You're
right.
not afraid to ask and get whatever the result is. You know what I mean? Because growing up,
100%.
you were a free bird.
Yeah,
You did whatever
man.
you wanted,
Yeah,
and
you
whatever
really
came
gotta do
from it,
it.
yeah, and whatever came from it, you understood the consequences, good or bad, or whatever it was. And I think it's the same thing. Like you weren't afraid to ask people for help, to help you along this way. And I think a lot of people are afraid to even just ask for the help.
Afraid to ask, for sure. And
Yeah.
the other thing is that giving back to other people and helping people that helped you, or making sure that they get they get something from taking a chance on you, rewarded.
Yeah.
That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Like it's not by some fluke that there's people that are willing to invest in me and my business, or that trust me, or you know what I mean. Like that's because they know who I am as a person.
Yep. So I want to fast forward. I know I got a couple questions left, and I want to kind of go into the future and understand kind of what your goals and motivations are. What's one thing that you're looking to accomplish in the next calendar year?
Okay, so the next calendar year, I would like my volume to increase as far as my realtor side. But like I'm not big on setting the number goal as much as I
Yeah.
am. I want to be able to help more people achieve their real estate dreams. Honestly, I want to see more people buy, more people sell. I want to get more investors started in investing. I want to change more lives. So I've seen what I've been able to do for other people, and I want to do that for more people. So that's a big goal the next calendar year for me. I am on a team right now. Eventually, in the future, I may, have a team of my own. Not saying that's in the next calendar year or anything, but I just like being a leader. I like helping others. I'm fortunate to be in a position on my team now in like a leadership role where I help new agents. Um, so, I would love to help more agents get started also. I really enjoy getting investors started. I've got quite a few new investors that I work with, and it's almost like a niche of mine because I am a new investor. So
Right.
I can really relate with people. So I want to help more people getting started investing. I want to help more agents get started in their business, and I want to help more people achieve their goals of buying and selling real estate. So that's from my realtor side. For Sias Family Holdings LLC, we want to acquire more properties. I'm looking for multifamily. So 2 to 4 units is main. That's where I want to be at for now.
Yeah.
Mostly in the Pickwick County, or even more hyper focused in Circleville. Anybody that has a deal out there, wholesalers, direct from the seller, anybody reach out to me. But yeah, we really take pride in the fact that when we buy these properties, we're making them better than any house around them. And yeah, there's a cost for that on my end, and then there's a cost for the consumer on the other end. So My goal is not just to buy a place, slap lipstick on it, and rent it out as cheap as possible. My
Right.
goal is to make a place, that somebody's proud to call home. And that's what we've been doing, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So in the next calendar year, I would like to acquire at least 2 more multifamily properties.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. What's one thing that you're looking to do in the next 5 years?
Woo. Next 5 years, I'll be running the best team in Central Ohio. Um, and I have to say, like, I do a lot of stuff in Pickaway County, and I'm coming for you. So Pickaway County, I really want to be the, not just the go-to agent, but I want to be the go-to team that agents want to be on. So I'm really looking forward to that. I would like to have enough rental properties in 5 years to cover everything, so I don't have to work. I'm never going to stop working, never.
Right.
And that's just because I enjoy it. It's not work anymore. So,
Yeah.
but I want to be able in 5 years to be able to be at every football game for my kids, to be at every wrestling practice, to do everything that my dad did for me. I want to be there in their lives. And so in the next 5 years, the focus is to build, build, build so that I can have a day off.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. What do you think that you're going to need to do or add to your business in order to get there?
It's a good question, John. So for the passive income, which is going to be a lot of that gives me a day off. What I'm going to need is I'm going to need more private money investors. Just plain and simple. I need private money, and anybody that's taking a chance on me is going to see the reward. Obviously, you can't sit here and promise any kind of return for anybody, but I can promise you that I'm going to do a damn good job for you. I can say that. So, private money is something that's going to be huge for Sias Family Holdings. And then, as far as in my real estate career, I'm going to need to be a mentor to people now. So I want to go from the mentee to the mentor. I want to have young men and women that come to me and that I can help make successful, and that can help run my business and learn from it the way that I help run other, like Jermaine's business, and learn from it. So just I want to be what you guys are right now in 5 years.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I know we're a little bit past time, and I really appreciate you coming on here and helping me re-kick off
Dude,
my podcast, rebranded it to tell me more, presented by Agent Major League Success, and I appreciate you, and I want to leave with this one question for you to give our audience. If you could give one piece of advice to either someone that's similar to you, maybe they kind of have a similar story, um, or someone that is just getting started in real estate. It could be both, right?
yeah,
It could be both. It could be two separate things. But if you give them one piece of advice, what would that be?
don't be scared. Don't be scared. There's there's really, when you think about it, you think about, well, I could lose this, or I could lose my car, or I could lose that, I could, whatever, right? There's a time in your life you didn't have any of that. So don't be afraid to take a risk to better your life. If worst case scenario, you fail and you lose everything, you just start over, and you start over doing something else, and you start over and you become good at that. So don't be scared is my biggest piece of advice. That's a consistent theme that I was taught, and it's helped me make risky decisions and help them pay off. And when they don't pay off, guess what? Like, I can start over and do something else. And that's it. Everyone thinks that there's this pit of lava that if you fail, you fall and you're dead. It's not like that.
Yeah,
If you're healthy, you're happy, you have people that you love around you, you're doing all right. Don't think about money. Money is the last thing you think about. You think about all of your other goals and everything you need to do to get there. And if you fail along the way, you learn from it. You didn't fail. You just keep going, building up those experiences. But don't be scared to take a chance.
Seth, I appreciate you coming on here, brother.
I
If
appreciate you
if
so
if
much and
anyone
everything you do
wants
for me.
to if anyone wants to follow up and connect with you, we have Seth's Instagram down below scrolling. But if they want to reach out to you another way, there is Seth's contact. Slide over a little bit more so that way they can actually stay there and read
There
it.
you go.
You don't got to leave the whole screen. But give him a
Follow me on
give him a
Instagram.
yeah, follow him on Instagram. Send him a message. He's got an amazing heart. He's an amazing person, and I'm privileged to get to call him a very good and dear friend and get to work with you side by side. But Seth, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Hey, I'm so thankful for you and everything you've done for me in my business, man. You're one of my best friends, and I appreciate you.
Awesome. Awesome, brother. I'll talk to you here soon.
Have a good one.